Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about wisdom. The quiet, resolute kind that shapes the lives of those who dare to walk it. Wisdom isn't always loud or adorned with fanfare. Often it is silent, discerning, and deliberate, especially when it comes to the relationships we cultivate. Wise women, in particular, possess a remarkable ability to cut off certain types of people from their lives, not out of cruelty, but out of clarity. They understand that their time, energy, and peace of mind are precious, and they are unafraid to protect these treasures. There are people who carry negativity like a storm cloud, spreading it wherever they go. Wise women recognize these individuals and step aside, refusing to be swept into their tempest. They know that dwelling in such environments poisons the soul, eroding joy and stifling creativity. In silence, they walk away, not with malice, but with the understanding that they owe themselves a life free from unnecessary turmoil. Then there are those who drain emotional energy, not because they seek support, but because they thrive on attention. These are the ones who turn every moment into their stage, demanding more and more without reciprocating care. Wise women know that their emotional reserves are finite, and they save them for those who truly matter. They let these individuals go, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. In life, we meet people who belittle or manipulate others to make themselves feel superior. These individuals are subtle thieves of self-esteem and confidence. A wise woman will not tolerate such behavior. She quietly but firmly removes herself from their reach, knowing that true relationships are built on mutual respect and encouragement, not a battle for dominance. Boundaries are sacred to the wise. They understand that relationships thrive on mutual respect for personal space and individuality. When someone repeatedly disregards those boundaries, they do not argue or plead, they simply step back. In their silence lies a profound lesson, that self-respect must come before the approval of others. Wise women also have a keen sense of recognizing stagnation in others. While they are not judgmental, they understand that those who resist growth or reject learning can hold them back. They choose relationships that inspire and challenge them to be better, walking away from those who refuse to evolve. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, they distance themselves from those who thrive on gossip, malice, and deceit. These are the whisperers who sow discord, dividing people for their own amusement. The wise woman values authenticity and kindness, rejecting any relationship that trades in cruelty or dishonesty. She knows that her life is too short to be cluttered with the noise of such unworthy voices. To cut someone off in silence is not an act of hatred, it is an act of love. Love for oneself, for one's peace, and for the life one is trying to build. It is a quiet revolution, a statement that says, I choose to surround myself with light, not darkness. So let us all take a moment to reflect on the circles we keep. May we learn from the wisdom of these silent acts, not to divide but to elevate, not to hate but to protect, and not to shrink but to grow. In doing so, we may find ourselves walking in the company of light, wisdom, and peace. May we all thank Him for the child in our midst, and may His pure light flood us with His. Wise women understand that the people they surround themselves with have a profound impact on their thoughts, actions, and overall well-being. The company we keep is more than just a reflection of who we are. It actively shapes who we become. Every interaction, every conversation, and every influence either nourishes or depletes the soul. This is why wise women are meticulous about guarding their circle of influence. They recognize that negativity is contagious just as positivity is. If they allow individuals who constantly complain, criticize, or create conflict into their lives, they risk absorbing those toxic energies. Instead of thriving, they find themselves weighed down by a heaviness that is not their own. To protect their mental and emotional health, they quietly but firmly distance themselves from such influences, understanding that not everyone deserves a seat at their table. This decision is not made out of arrogance or superiority, but out of self-awareness. Wise women know their values, priorities, and the kind of life they wish to build. They seek out relationships that align with those ideals. People who uplift, inspire, and challenge them to grow. They value authenticity over superficiality and substance over spectacle, ensuring that their closest connections are built on trust, mutual respect, and shared purpose. By guarding their circle of influence, they create a sanctuary of positivity and growth, a space where they can flourish without fear of being diminished. It is an act of courage and self-love, a declaration that their energy is sacred and their journey too important to be compromised by negativity or mediocrity. In this way, they demonstrate a profound truth: the quality of one's life is, in many ways, determined by the quality of one's relationships. Wise women understand that emotional energy is one of their most valuable resources. It is the force that fuels their creativity, drives their purpose, and sustains their inner peace. Unlike physical energy, which can often be restored with rest, emotional energy is deeply tied to their mental and spiritual well-being. Once depleted, it takes much more effort to replenish. For this reason, wise women are deliberate in protecting it. They recognize the individuals who drain emotional energy without offering anything in return. These are the people who constantly bring drama, demand attention, or create chaos, making every interaction feel like an emotional tug-of-war. Such individuals do not seek connection, but rather consumption. They absorb the time and energy of others without regard for balance or reciprocity. Wise women quietly distance themselves from these emotional vampires, not because they lack compassion, but because they understand the necessity of preserving their own stability. Protecting emotional energy also means being mindful of the conversations and environments they engage in. Gossip, negativity, and relentless criticism are subtle but powerful forces that can chip away at emotional reserves. Wise women choose their words carefully and gravitate toward discussions that inspire, uplift, or bring clarity. They walk away from conversations that feel like they drain more than they give, understanding that their emotional health is worth far more than indulging in negativity. They also know the importance of creating and maintaining boundaries. When others overstep or demand too much, a wise woman doesn't resort to conflict or confrontation. Instead, she calmly asserts her limits and ensures they are respected. This quiet strength allows her to protect her emotional space while maintaining her dignity and self-respect. In choosing to guard their emotional energy, wise women are not selfish. They are wise stewards of their inner resources. They understand that only by preserving their own peace can they offer genuine support to those who truly matter. It is not about shutting people out, but about prioritizing the relationships and activities that enrich their lives rather than exhaust them. End quote. Echoing the words of the ultimate teacher, mastery overcomes even the forms of violence. This intentionality ensures that their emotional energy is spent wisely, allowing them to live with clarity, purpose, and grace. Wise women understand that relationships should be a source of mutual growth and empowerment, not a constant battle of compromise or diminishment. They hold themselves to a standard of authenticity and expect the same from those they surround themselves with. In their world, true connections do not require one to shrink, silence their voice, or compromise their values to make others feel comfortable. Instead, relationships are meant to uplift both parties, fostering a space where individuality is celebrated and mutual respect thrives. They recognize the subtle dangers of staying connected with those who belittle or manipulate. These are the people who, intentionally or not, attempt to chip away at confidence through criticism, control, or undermining behaviors. Wise women understand that enduring such relationships out of obligation or fear of confrontation comes at a significant cost: the erosion of their own sense of self-worth. They quietly but firmly distance themselves from these individuals, choosing instead to invest their energy in relationships that encourage and inspire. In their pursuit of meaningful connections, wise women look for reciprocity. They seek people who challenge them to grow, not by tearing them down, but by providing honest feedback, offering support and celebrating their successes. These are the friends, mentors, and partners who believe in their potential and want to see them succeed, not as a reflection of their own egos, but out of genuine care and encouragement. Wise women also understand that uplifting relationships are built on honesty and accountability. They are not afraid to address challenges or confront issues when necessary, but they do so with grace and the intention to heal, not harm. In turn, they surround themselves with people who are willing to have those same courageous conversations, knowing that growth often comes through moments of discomfort and vulnerability. Choosing relationships that uplift does not mean avoiding conflict or expecting perfection. It means aligning with those who bring out the best in them, who encourage them to dream bigger, and who support them in their journey without judgment or envy. This commitment to upliftment ensures that their relationships are sources of strength and inspiration, not burdens of compromise or conformity. Footnote: subsequent to this writing, the disciples have swiftly parted and lived together in conflict and inspiration, not burdens of compromise or conformity. By refusing to settle for connections that require them to diminish who they are, wise women embody a powerful truth. The right relationships do not demand compromise of character, but instead create a foundation for mutual flourishing. Wise women understand that boundaries are the invisible lines that protect their peace, autonomy, and well-being. These lines are not just a defense mechanism, but a declaration of self-respect and clarity about what they will and will not tolerate. Respecting boundaries, both their own and those of others, is essential to maintaining healthy relationships and a balanced life. They know that boundaries are not about shutting people out, but about creating space for mutual respect to thrive. When someone continually disregards their time, energy, or emotional limits, a wise woman recognizes it as a sign of disrespect. Rather than engaging in endless explanations or arguments, she quietly enforces her boundaries through action, whether that means reducing interactions, setting clear expectations, or walking away entirely. She protects her inner world without the need for confrontation or drama. In the case of Pierre-Marie Louise, see figure 6.1, she dies, leaving behind only the strength of her will. Wise women also understand that their boundaries are not fixed but adaptable. As they grow, learn, and change, their needs and priorities evolve. They give themselves permission to reassess and adjust their boundaries to align with their current values and goals. This flexibility is not a sign of weakness but of wisdom, ensuring that their limits serve them in every stage of life. Equally important is their respect for the boundaries of others. They know that healthy relationships require an understanding of each person's individuality and autonomy. They listen when someone communicates their needs and avoid crossing lines that would infringe on another's personal space or choices. By honoring the boundaries of others, they build trust and foster relationships that are rooted in mutual respect. Wise women do not feel guilty for setting boundaries, nor do they apologize for prioritizing their well-being. They understand that saying no to something that does not serve them is actually a way of saying yes to themselves. They are not afraid to step back from situations or people who refuse to honor their limits, recognizing that maintaining boundaries is not selfish. It is an act of self-preservation and strength. Through their actions, wise women teach an essential truth. Boundaries are not barriers, but bridges to healthier relationships and a more fulfilling life. By respecting their own limits and those of others, they create an environment of safety, understanding, and empowerment where everyone involved can thrive. The last step in the journey towards wholeness from pain is recognition. Wise women understand that life is a journey of constant growth, and the relationships they nurture should reflect this dynamic pursuit of progress. They are deeply attuned to the difference between growth and stagnation, both in themselves and in those around them. This awareness shapes the connections they maintain and the ones they quietly release, always prioritizing forward momentum over remaining stuck in mediocrity. Growth is not always loud or visible. It often comes in quiet moments of learning, adapting, and striving to be better than before. Wise women recognize these traits in others and seek to surround themselves with individuals who are committed to evolving. These are the people who embrace change, take responsibility for their actions, and view challenges as opportunities for improvement. Their energy is infectious, and their presence inspires the wise woman to reach for her own higher potential. In contrast, stagnation manifests as resistance to change, an unwillingness to learn, or a tendency to cling to outdated habits and mindsets. While wise women are compassionate and patient, they know that remaining tied to someone who refuses to grow can be draining and counterproductive. They do not judge or criticize those who are stuck, but they also do not allow themselves to be pulled into that inertia. They understand that progress requires effort and intention, and they choose to walk alongside those who share that commitment. Distinguishing between growth and stagnation also means being honest with themselves. Wise women are not afraid to evaluate their own behaviors and attitudes, acknowledging when they might be holding on to beliefs or patterns that no longer serve them. They actively seek out opportunities for personal development, whether through education, meaningful conversations, or introspection. This self-awareness enables them to recognize growth in others and to identify when a relationship is holding them back. Letting go of stagnant relationships is not an act of cruelty, but of necessity. Wise women understand that clinging to connections that resist change creates an imbalance, where one person is growing while the other remains static. Over time, this disparity can breed resentment and frustration. To prevent this, they quietly step back, allowing both themselves and the other person the freedom to pursue their own paths at their own pace. By distinguishing between growth and stagnation, wise women create a life filled with inspiration, resilience, and progress. They understand that relationships, like all things in life, should be dynamic and enriching, not stagnant or draining. In choosing growth, they honor their own journey and open the door to deeper, more fulfilling connections with those who are also striving to become their best selves. Wise women understand the profound power of words and the influence they carry. They know that malice, even in its quietest form, has the potential to corrode trust, create division, and disrupt inner peace. The whisper of malice, the subtle gossip, deceit, or judgment that often masquerades as harmless conversation, is something they refuse to entertain. They actively distance themselves from those who thrive on negativity, choosing instead to protect the integrity of their relationships and their own moral compass. Divide the people desperate for self-control from the people who need it most, managing fear in the way of them. Malice often begins in the smallest of ways, a disparaging remark, a hint of envy, or a veiled criticism. Wise women recognize these as signs of deeper toxicity. They understand that people who speak ill of others in whispers often carry the same energy into every relationship, including their own. Rather than becoming complicit in such behavior, they step away quietly, refusing to lend their ears to words that harm or divide. They also recognize that engaging in malicious talk reflects more on the speaker than on the subject. Wise women value authenticity and kindness over the fleeting satisfaction of gossip or the illusion of superiority. They know that when someone tears others down, it is often a reflection of their own insecurities or unresolved issues. By avoiding these whispers, they maintain their integrity and refuse to be dragged into a cycle of negativity. Avoiding malice is not just about refraining from harmful conversations. It is also about cultivating an environment of positivity and respect. Wise women intentionally seek out people who speak with kindness, empathy, and honesty. They value those who can address issues directly and constructively, rather than resorting to backhanded comments or sly remarks. In doing so, they create a circle of trust and authenticity that allows relationships to flourish. This avoidance of malice also extends to their own self-awareness. Wise women are mindful of their words and the energy they put into the world. They understand the responsibility that comes with communication and choose to use their voice to uplift, inspire, and connect rather than to harm or divide. When they make mistakes, they own them, apologizing and striving to do better. By rejecting the whisper of malice, wise women embody a rare strength. They choose peace over conflict, kindness over cruelty, and growth over pettiness. In doing so, they set a powerful example for others, showing that a life free from malice is not only possible, but also profoundly liberating. Their silence in the face of harmful words is not an act of passivity, but a declaration of their commitment to something greater, a life rooted in integrity, respect, and genuine connection. In the quiet strength of wise women lies a profound understanding of the power of choice. They choose to protect their peace, nurture their growth, and surround themselves with relationships that inspire and uplift rather than diminish. Through their silence, they make decisions that speak volumes, walking away from negativity, setting firm boundaries, and aligning their lives with authenticity and purpose. Their wisdom is not marked by grand gestures or dramatic exits, but by the deliberate cultivation of a life that reflects their values. They recognize that their time, energy, and emotional well-being are sacred, and they honor these gifts by guarding them fiercely. By cutting off the voices of malice, stagnation, and toxicity, they create space for light, growth, and harmony to flourish. Let us take inspiration from their quiet resolve and reflect on the circles we keep, the boundaries we set, and the energy we allow into our lives. May we too have the courage to let go of what does not serve us and embrace the relationships and choices that lead us to our highest potential. For in protecting what matters most, we find not only wisdom, but also the freedom to live with clarity, purpose, and grace.